Yo, what's going on, guys? KrispyFlakes here. So I came across this article titled Superstar Trade Targets for Every NBA Lottery Team. So pretty much every team that's not in the NBA playoffs. So yeah, because, we get caught up in the playoffs, so sometimes we forget about the teams out there that are rebuilding. So these are going to be trades that are going to try to help the teams get in the right direction out there to hopefully make the playoffs next season or the next few seasons. So yeah, before we get going on this video, if you guys could do me a quick favor and please drop a like on this one. Only takes a second of your time, man, and really helps the channel out so much. If you guys can all help me hit 1,000 likes, would be greatly appreciated. And as always, let me know what you think about these trades in the comment section below. So here we go, guys, by Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report. Always has good content, I would say. But yeah, the first one we have is Atlanta Hawks getting Draymond Green. So the primary trade chips for this would be Taurean Prince and a 2020 first round pick, lottery protected. So, I actually do like the idea of this trade for both sides, mainly, for the Atlanta Hawks, because the team wants Trae Young to be the next Stephen Curry. Like, he's kind of been deemed as the next Steph Curry. So what better way to get him going in that direction than getting a guy like Draymond Green, who's played with Stephen Curry? I mean, he's not going to demand the basketball as far as shots goes. He's going to make the right pass out there. He's going to get the rebound, do all the hustle stuff, just have the young guys back out there. And essentially by doing this, because they already got Kevin Huerter out there too at the shooting guard spot, who's becoming like a fantastic shooting guard himself, low-key, it's the Atlanta Hawks' attempt of making the new Golden State Warriors. And I think this is nice, man, for both sides. And plus the Warriors, they get a nice young piece on Taurean Prince, who, does a lot of great things out there. It seems like he's kind of fallen out of the future plans of the Atlanta Hawks. Plus also getting a 2020 first-round draft pick. Nothing hurts with that. And, the Golden State Warriors are out of Draymond Green's contract, so they can use that money to try to make some of the other choices out there that they want to make. So yeah, I like this one definitely for both sides. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets going for Andre Drummond. So this primary trade would consist of Malik Monk, Nicholas Batum, and a 2019 first-round draft pick, top 5 protected. I will say, from the Charlotte Hornets standpoint, it makes sense to get a guy like Andre Drummond on the team, just because him and Kemba Walker, you just feel like those two guys would mesh very nicely together. I mean, Drummond's like 24, 25 years old. I mean, he's just entering his NBA prime. Best rebounding center in the NBA, so he'll be able to clean up a lot of the things out there on that end of the court. And yeah, it just gives Walker a new star player to play with. Meanwhile, for the Detroit Pistons, they get some young pieces in Malik Monk. They also get that 2019 first round pick, which is going to be a lottery pick. Now, I don't think it's going to be a top 5 pick anyway, man. So that would be nice for the Pistons, who would also need to decide if maybe they just want to go into a rebuild, because, they still have Blake Griffin on the team, so they would need to decide what they want to do with him. But again, Batum would help with the wing depth out there. Again, Malik Monk still could be a promising player. Not a bad little trade for both sides, and I say that as a Pistons fan. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls going for Jrue Holiday. So, of course, he's like a 20-point per game scorer. Gets you like 5 rebounds, 5 assists out there. The primary trade pieces in this case would be a 2019 first-round pick, top 3 protected, Chris Dunn, and Denzel Valentine. So the reason the Pelicans would do this, of course, would to be rid of Jrue Holiday. I believe $26 million contract, something like that. But also, they get a 25-year-old and Chris Dunn, who probably should not be a starter in the NBA. But for a team that's rebuilding would be fine. Denzel Valentine gives them a decent small forward, although he does have injury issues. But, that's still, man, really the draft pick's the big part right here in getting rid of Jrue Holiday's contract. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bulls get a little stability in the point guard position with Jrue Holiday. Now, I know people say that Holiday does not want to play point guard, but I feel like he would still be okay being like a combo backcourt Zach LaVine, because Zach LaVine can still handle the basketball the majority of the time. So I feel like it would work out for both teams. Once again, not a bad look for either side. Next up, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers going for Gordon Hayward. I've heard a few rumors about this. The primary trade piece here would be J.R. Smith's cap-friendly contract and also Jordan Clarkson. So yeah, I mean, Gordon Hayward, I know a lot of Celtic fans still feel very highly about him. I don't care what they say. He's not worth $31 million. He's just not. Like, it doesn't matter what he does, man. I mean, he needs to return to like a 20-point per game score. But even if he's doing that for the Celtics, that's taken away from other guys on the team. So you get J.R. Smith, and yeah, it's not to get J.R. Smith. Like, he probably won't even play a game for the Celtics. It's just to get his contract out there and rid the team of Gordon Hayward's large contract. Getting Jordan Clarkson would bring a nice scorer off the bench. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Cavaliers getting Gordon Hayward, it's like, I do feel like the Celtics would also need to toss in some sort of draft pick for the Cavaliers to bite on this one, just because, like, Gordon Hayward and Kevin Love, that's not really doing much for you in the Eastern Conference. Now, if Gordon were to go to the Cavaliers, he would get a better chance out there to prove himself, and maybe he returns to the Utah Jazz form, and then it is a W for both sides, man. But, yeah, I do think a draft pick would need to be included for the Cavaliers to take on Gordon Hayward's contract, because they are a rebuilding team, so, you need that like, asset right there to make it make sense. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks already made their move. Yep, they got Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, we got to wait to see how that plays out. I know there's also been talks of the team going for Kemba Walker, but that would be a free agent signing, not so much a trade. So, yeah, they got their guy in Kristaps Porzingis. They already made that happen. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Lakers going for Anthony Davis. And, of course, man, the trade that would be offered up would be Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, 2019 first-round pick. And, yeah, really, I'm not saying this trade needs to happen, but I do think, just with all the turmoil of the Los Angeles Lakers, they need to make a choice. They need to pick a path and stick with it. Do you want to go the path of going for a championship with LeBron James, over the course of the next 3-season window that he has at really being an elite player here in the NBA? Or do you want to go the route of the young players, the Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Lonzo Ball? Because just meshing both of those together, it's just not going to work. We've seen it, man. It just didn't work, and it's not going to work, and the chemistry is only going to decrease, man. So, yeah, Anthony Davis would be big time if they were able to get him. With that being said, Anthony Davis only has 1 year left on his contract. We know he wants to be a Laker, but are you willing to give up all those pieces to get Anthony Davis just 1 season ahead of time? That's kind of my thing, man. I don't know if the leverage is quite there to make this type of trade happen with those many pieces. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies getting Myles Turner. So, the primary trade chip would be Mike Conley. I mean, honestly, I would like to see the Pacers keep Myles Turner. I feel like he was nice for him last season. I would much rather see them give up a Sabonis, who I think could probably play the 4 alongside Jonas Valanciunas for the Memphis Grizzlies, although they already got Jaren Jackson. So, yeah, this doesn't really make much sense to me at all. I mean, Jonas averaged like 16 points and I think it was 13 rebounds. One of my subscribers told me some crazy number like that in the few games he did play for the Memphis Grizzlies. So it seems they seem to have found their answer in their center in Valanciunas. So, I mean, Myles Turner, it doesn't make much sense for the Pacers to get rid of him right now. And, for Mike Conley, sure, I guess teaming him up with Victor Oladipo would be nice, but I would much rather see them get rid of Sabonis. I think that's probably what they ultimately end up doing in the long term of things. Next up, we have the Miami Heat going for Blake Griffin. So here is the other side of the Pistons thing out there. Already traded Drummond to Charlotte. Let's just trade Blake Griffin to the Miami Heat while we're at it. This would be a trade of Josh Richardson, Kelly Olynyk, and Derrick Jones Jr. Okay, I've been saying it for a while now. The Miami Heat are kind of in that Clippers situation where they do have a lot of good young talent on their team. They have a lot of really good guys out there, but they don't have that superstar guy. So this would allow Blake Griffin to, who's really changed his NBA game, man. Just the way he plays and everything. I mean, he was probably the top 2 power forward in the NBA last season, if not the best. So it's you put him in the Miami Heat situation, it's the same situation of the Pistons, where it's you have the right guys around him. Of course, this is assuming they keep Hassan Whiteside. That's a nice little front court. Goran Dragic on the team with Justice Winslow. It would just be a different look. Meanwhile, the Pistons get Josh Richardson, who can be a 20-point per game scorer in the NBA consistently, man. So, not a bad piece there for him, but it would mean the Pistons going into a full-on rebuild, getting Kelly Olynyk, who is a stretch big. Pretty friendly contract. I think he's getting $33 million over the next 3 seasons, something along those lines. Not bad. And then Derrick Jones Jr., I think he would kind of be a throw-in piece. I know he probably has some decent things about his game, but nothing more than a rotation player at best. Next up, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves going for Bradley Beal. So the primary trade chips in this would be Jeff Teague, Dario Saric, Keita Bates-Diop, and a 2019 first-round pick. All right, I like the idea of Bradley Beal to the Timberwolves. I actually did a rebuild of this 2 years ago, man, and yeah, the Timberwolves just took over, man. They Bradley Beal got Finals MVP. It's one of my most memorable rebuilds out there, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, man, Bradley Beal with Karl Anthony Towns, that's a nice duo in the Western Conference. The problem I have is with the trade pieces. I think the Washington Wizards would probably want a guy like Andrew Wiggins, and I think that would be good for both sides. I think a change of scenery for Andrew Wiggins would be nice. He wouldn't have a lot of pressure on the Washington Wizards because that team would still be in a rebuild for the next few seasons until the whole John Wall fiasco's situated with his whole injury thing going on, and his contract and everything like that. So it would give Andrew Wiggins a chance to be the man for the Washington Wizards in a low-pressure situation. So yeah, I do like this. I have a problem with the trade chips right there. I do think the Wizards would probably demand Andrew Wiggins, especially for a contract standpoint. It makes sense. Next up, we have the Pelicans going for apparently already superstar Zion Williamson. The guy's not playing an NBA game yet, but apparently he's a superstar. And yeah, the trade chip would be Anthony Davis. So pretty much it's the saying, whatever team ends up getting that first pick in the draft, trade Anthony Davis, get Zion Williamson, restart. The issue I have with that is that, Zion Williamson is going to be a good NBA player. I do believe that. But we know how historically great Anthony Davis is, and just like how much the franchise failed with Anthony Davis to put the right guys around him. I do not wish that fate to Zion Williamson. I hope this does not happen, man, just because, I don't know, like, Anthony Davis isn't even old, and they're failing to put the right players around him. So imagine them just screwing up on Zion Williamson and just having two generational big guys out there and just messing them both up. I don't want to see this happen. Please, man, please don't. Please don't leave Zion Williamson alone, Pelicans Nation, okay? I mean, I know they have, like, what is it, David Griffin now or something like that, so maybe things are changing, but who knows? Next up, we have the New York Knicks going for Anthony Davis, and this will be the primary trade chips of Dennis Smith, Kevin Knox, and a 2019 first-round pick. So I actually just heard about, Kevin Knox being a big-time trade piece to get Anthony Davis. I am all for this. But at that 2019 first-round pick, if they have a chance to get Zion Williamson, maybe they just do that, and then they can keep Kevin Knox and Dennis Smith, and that would just be okay. But at the same time, you don't want to be stuck in the same thing as the Lakers, where, you get like a Kevin Durant or a Kyrie Irving. You have like these veteran players who are not as old as LeBron James, of course, but still are in win now mode. And then you just have like these young guys that are not ready to take over yet. I feel like if your plans are to go for Kyrie and Durant, then yes, you add Anthony Davis and you just form that monster big three, and you fill out the rest of the players around them. Next, we have the Phoenix Suns going for Mike Conley. This would be a trade of Tyler Johnson, Josh Jackson, and the Milwaukee Bucks 2020 first-round pick. So for a Memphis Grizzlies standpoint, if they're ready to just let Mike Conley go and, just go in a full-on rebuild, then yeah, it's not a bad trade because Mike Conley does have like 2 years left on his contract plus a player option worth like $30 million. Meanwhile, Tyler Johnson, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, is an expiring contract. You get Josh Jackson, who, at this point, I mean, maybe like I was saying earlier, like a change of scenery would be nice for him. Because, of course, the Suns do have TJ Warren. They're going to have a top draft pick. Maybe this would allow them to go for like Zion Williamson if they are blessed with that first round pick. And that would be like the replacement of what Josh Jackson does out there. And then for the Memphis Grizzlies, you have Josh Jackson at the 3 spot, Jaren Jackson at the 4, Valanciunas at the 5. You get that draft pick. Tyler Johnson is part of the team. And then, of course, the Suns get a beacon of stability with Mike Conley being their best point guard probably since Goran Dragic was there quite a while ago. Or no, I guess Eric Bledsoe, my bad. Next up, we have Sacramento Kings going for Karl Anthony Towns. Okay, so, I mean, it says right here, let's get weird. So this one definitely is weird. I did not see this one coming at all. Trade chips of Buddy Hield, Harry Giles, Bjelica, a 2019 second-round pick, and a 2020 first-round pick after the draft. I mean, I don't like the idea of this because I feel like Buddy Hield just really did some great things out there for the Sacramento Kings. I feel like the Kings have a nice little project going on there. I mean, just getting rid of Buddy Hield just seems a little bit too premature for me. Yeah, they ended up teaming up De'Aaron Fox with Karl Anthony Towns. Definitely not a bad look to it. But I don't think this is the move here, man. I don't think this is the move at all. If it were to happen, no complaints. Just doesn't need to happen. Next up, we have Washington Wizards going for Kevin Love. Okay, so this would be a trade of Troy Brown Jr. and Ian Mahinmi, who just has a bitch-ass contract. Troy Brown Jr. would just be a guy that they would trade for based off of potential. Meanwhile, you would unload Mahinmi's contract for a guy that can actually provide something in Kevin Love. And, you would hope Kevin Love would stay out around there for a few seasons because ultimately you're looking at a team of John Wall when he's healthy, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Love. Not a bad-looking team. You also add on, Thomas Bryant at the center spot who continues to develop once Dwight Howard's out of there. And, that team has a lot of injury issues. But when fully healthy, I would say that's definitely a playoff team. So, not bad. Not bad at all. I still think it was stupid the Cavaliers gave Kevin Love all that money in the first place. But, hey, it is what it is. Guys, let me know in the comment section below what you think about some of these trades. Some are definitely better than others, and some definitely make more sense than others. But I was pretty satisfied with all these listed on here for the most part, guys. But, yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and peace out, my friends.